guys, ETJ Writes here. Today I'm going to be talking about some books that I've been reading recently. First of all, I want to start with a book that I just finished reading, which is The Wall That Divides by Heather Carson. I liked the first book so much that I just went ahead and got all the rest of the books in the series on Kindle Unlimited. So I am now on book 3, which I'm enjoying, but I did just finish book 2 about a month ago or so, and I really am still loving the dystopian feel of everything. This book really went in a really interesting direction. We got to learn a lot more about our main character and her hopes and fears and dreams and desires, and we got to learn a lot more about the world. We start to see how everything is coming together. And now in book 3, The Land of Promises, we're starting to learn more about the world from the other character's perspective. So in books 1 and 2, you get the feeling that the main character, everything is being kept a secret from her. And then when you get to book 3, you realize that there's a secret being kept from everybody else as well. It's going to be really interesting to keep reading and discover how much which groups of people know about what things. And I don't want to say too much more than that because I don't want to spoil it, but I would definitely recommend checking this book out if you like sci-fi. Well, it's really post-apocalyptic. If you like adventure stories, if you like a little bit of dystopia, and if you like a good old-fashioned mystery. The next book I'm reading is Shadow of the Marked by J.G. Maltos. I came across this book, I think on Instagram, about maybe a couple years ago, and I'm getting around to reading it now, but it's a really fun book so far. It's got a lot of elements about it that strongly remind me of Avatar: The Last Airbender, and I wouldn't be surprised if there was some influence there for the author when writing this series. But there are a lot of elements that also make it very different, and I'm really enjoying seeing what's happening. There's another mystery in this book, a pull that is enticing you to turn the pages to discover what's going on. Things like she felt eyes watching her and she's looking around to see who's there, but there's nobody there. Or the fact that the guards keep asking our main character, what do you know about this kingdom? What do you know about these powers? And she's like, I don't know anything, I don't know anything. But at the same time, it seems that maybe she can manifest some powers that aren't her natural powers. We will see. So there's definitely a fun mystery going on here, and I'm putting the pieces together. I'm pretty sure I know what's going to happen as far as what's happening with her, particularly from the title, but I am really excited to finding out. And it's been so long since I looked at this book that I've totally forgotten what the summary is, so I'm pretty much going in blind here. If I know that I picked out a book a while ago based on the summary and I'm liking it, then if I forget what the summary is, I don't go back and reread it because I like to be surprised. The last book that I've been reading is Sky Queen. I picked up the first book in this series because it was simply called Tabitha, which, as you may know, is my middle name. That's what Esther T. Jones stands for, and I thought it would be really fun. Plus, the character, as I started reading, I discovered that she was from Wales, and that's a little bit of my heritage, so I just kept connecting with this character on a lot of different levels. The first book, one of the complaints that I had about it was that it was very slow in the middle. I just kind of dragged a bit. There were characters that I didn't really care for, and not a lot happened. It was supposed to be emotionally tying things together so that when the stakes were upped later on, we would really feel it, but I just never connected to the middle of the story. However, the beginning and ending were stellar, and that's a pun intended. You'll see if you read the book, and I definitely really had fun with it. So much fun that I went ahead and also picked up book 2 and 3 of this series from Kindle Unlimited as well. I have been absolutely loving book number 2. It's an adventure story, it's a survival story, and it's really taking our main character and throwing her into the situations where she has to rely on herself to survive. And she did a little bit in the first book as well, but there was a lot of reliance on other people, and she was desperately trying to find other people to connect with. And in this book, a lot of the times she's realizing that she can depend on herself and sometimes only depend on herself. And right at the beginning of the book, she goes through having a lot of stuff, a lot of help taken away from her, and she almost dies a lot of times. And it really forges her into a new version of herself. And then the middle of this book, unlike the first book, does not drag. There's this horrible tension that makes you kind of feel sick to your stomach when you're reading, which lets you know that it's a good book. As I've been reading, I have to stop myself from turning the pages too quickly because I don't want to get to the end too quickly because I'm enjoying this world so much. I know I have a third book to go, One of the things that kind of threw me off about this book at the beginning were there were 3 separate storylines going on. There was our main character storyline, which I loved. Actually, 4 separate storylines. There was the storyline kind of with the shady background players. There was the storyline with this fish guy from another planet who was almost killed and then revived. And then there's a story about this alien lady whose son was killed under mysterious circumstances and she's trying to get justice. And at first I was kind of thrown off, but the author's world building was so good that I decided, all right, I'll give it a pass. And the sections are very small and unobtrusive, so you could skip them if you wanted to. But I'm now at the part of the book where I'm seeing how it's all coming together and it's just woven in so well, and I'm super excited for where this next part of the story is going to go. So if you like epic sci-fi, if you like fun adventure, if you like survival stories, if you like really cool women kicking butt and taking names, then this story is for you. Well, that's all the stories that I have been reading this month. I hope to be reading a few more the next time I pop on here to update y'all. And until next time, happy reading.